streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for joining us this Thursday. I'm Ann Makovic, and here's a look at some of our news headlines this morning. A suspect facing attempted murder charges after a homeless man was nearly beaten to death at a VTA light rail station in San Jose. Santa Clara County officials say they found the 42-year-old man unconscious at the Gish station just before midnight Monday. He remains in critical condition. Sheriff's deputies arrested this man, 23-year-old Brandon Freyshaw. They say he may be connected to another attack at the St. James VTA station last month. San Francisco Unified is closing its smallest high school at the end of the current academic year. That is because, in part, of declining enrollment. The Academy offers various career and college-focused programs, but enrollment this year has dwindled to less than 100 students. Next year, students from the Academy will be automatically enrolled at Wallenberg High School. Those students would also have priority if they want to go to a different school in the district. A spokesperson for the district says the move is not part of any larger wave of school closures. And the 49ers are going to take on the Rams in Los Angeles tonight without Brock Purdy. He's been ruled out because of an injury, and he's not the only one. Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings will also sit on the sidelines for the Thursday night football face-off. Now to our first alert weather. Lots of clouds out there. Temperature still below normal. Here's a look from our Treasure Island camera. Earlier today, we saw a little bit of rain around the bay. This is what it looked like in Martinez at around 8 this morning. But as meteorologist Jessica Birch shows us, a stretch of sunshine is right around the corner.
Warmer weather and drier weather, too, for that matter, are right around the corner as we head into the next couple days. But we still have some lingering showers today. And as that cold front swept its way throughout the Bay Area, it brought with it some cooler weather, clearly, right? Let's head up to the North Bay. Today, we're 11 degrees below average, all the way into places like Santa Rosa, sitting at 70 degrees today. Yesterday, we were in the 60s, so we're already noticing this warm up just a little bit. You make your way over into Concord, we're about 9 degrees below average this afternoon at 73 degrees, about 7 degrees below average down into the Santa Clara Valley, sitting at 72. So for the most part, all of us are just hand in hand with 70s in our inland spots, 60s along the coast. But as we take a quick look at what Futurecast is showing, there were some lingering showers this morning, sweeping throughout the South Bay and off into the East Bay. That's now pushed off into the Sacramento Valley. We could get another batch of showers later tonight, though, after a nice break with just some clouds into our afternoon hours. Watch what happens just by 7, 8, and 9 o'clock. Showers tapering off to the north. Places like Clear Lake, Santa Rosa, and Vacaville could see an additional 1/10 of an inch of rain at max. For the most part, it's closer to around 1/100 of an inch, though, as we keep a close eye on those models. And that's the case stretched down into the Santa Clara Valley, too. Monitoring those numbers very closely, as this is going to be the last day of rain before we start to warm up and dry up as we head into this weekend's forecast. 70s today, quickly jumping into 80s as early as Saturday. We'll continue to warm up as we head into next week into the low 80s by Monday and Tuesday, with at least sunnier skies and some warmer weather right around the corner. It definitely feels a lot more fall-like, though, now that we're getting these cold fronts pushing in from the north. We're also gearing up for low 70s in the forecast along the bay. Sunny skies by Saturday and Sunday. Some passing clouds as we kick off next week.
Today is day 2 of the federal government shutdown. Right now, no end in sight. The White House says it could result in thousands of layoffs. No negotiations are taking place right now. The Trump administration has already targeted billions of dollars in funding for infrastructure projects in New York and threatened climate-related funding in more than a dozen blue states. No votes are scheduled for today because of Yom Kippur, but votes are expected in the Senate tomorrow. So here's the question: why can't lawmakers get a bill passed? Well, it mainly revolves around health care policy. Democrats want a bill that reverses Medicaid cuts and extends Obamacare subsidies and tax credits. Those tax credits have made insurance more affordable since the pandemic, but those credits are set to expire at the end of the year. Republicans want a so-called continuing resolution that would reopen the government for 7 weeks while negotiations continue, each side pointing the finger at the other.
There's no negotiation right now because the Democrats have dug in. You say I'm blaming the Democrats. I mean, these are objective facts.
The Speaker of the House just said last night that he didn't plan to negotiate and didn't want to negotiate.
Senate Republican leaders are tentatively scheduled to let their members go home for the weekend after the Friday votes. The shutdown has caused some confusion here in the Bay Area, especially for visitors. Some national park sites and federal facilities are now closed indefinitely. Others might be open, but with limited services. According to an official with the National Parks Conservancy, Alcatraz is open today for tours. It was closed yesterday for scheduled construction. During the Trump administration shutdown in 2018 and 2019, Alcatraz stayed open during the day, but special tours and night tours were canceled. Park officials are confirming closures at some Bay Area parks, roads, and parking lots. Muir Woods is closed. At Stinson Beach, the gates and the parking lot are closed. Presidio sites like the Golden Gate Bridge Visitor Center remain open because they operate under their own funding. Those closures catching some tourists by surprise.
It's my first time, so I'm a bit gutted.
What are you guys doing to make up the time?
Well, we're
cycling over the bridge.
Yeah, and have to drink more wine.
The shutdown also being felt in Salinas. The Navy's Blue Angels were supposed to headline this weekend's California International Air Show, but the precision flying team has been grounded just days before showtime. Salinas Air Show volunteers have been preparing to host them for almost a year, but the shutdown stops non-essential government operations, including military demonstration teams like the Blue Angels. The air show will go on, though. Canada's Snowbirds aerobatic flying team will be soaring in the skies. Fleet Week in San Francisco will also go on next week, but the Blue Angels will also be grounded then. We are going to keep following all the latest developments on the shutdown. You can find updates anytime on our website, kpix.com, and streaming on the free CBS News app. Police in the UK have made 2 arrests after a man went on a stabbing spree at a synagogue. At least 2 people have been killed and several others injured. Authorities are calling it a terror attack, and it comes on Yom Kippur. Reporter Tina Kraus has the latest.
The stabbing attack happened this morning outside a synagogue in Manchester, England. Police say a man drove a car into people and started stabbing them.
You've killed him.
Authorities arrived within 10 minutes and firearms officers shot and killed the suspect. According to a local media report, the attacker did not make it into the synagogue itself. The chaos unfolded as members of the Jewish community observed Yom Kippur, considered the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. One video from the scene appears to show a police officer warning people the attacker has a bomb. King Charles and Britain's Prime Minister said they were appalled by the attack on such a significant day for Jewish people.
Additional police assets are being deployed to synagogues across the country, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe.
Witnesses say security guards at the synagogue intervened to save many people from harm. Last year, the British government committed an extra $100 million to protect synagogues and Jewish schools here.
The attack struck days ahead of the second anniversary of October 7th, when Hamas unleashed deadly raids in Israel that set off a violent conflict in Gaza and heightened tensions in the UK. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, a tragic end to a missing persons case. Police finding a body in a home they had already searched. How detectives describe a hidden entryway that led to the grim discovery. Plus, funding has run out for a food program that serves breakfast to hundreds of seniors in the East Bay.
I feel very sorry for these people.
It's another cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area with some lingering showers tapering off as they push off into the east throughout this afternoon. The best places we could see that mostly to the east and the South Bay. Now we're going to start warming up once those showers roll out. We're warming up into this weekend back into the 80s, and we're holding on tight to 80s as we head into early next week too throughout our inland spots. You make your way over into the Bay though, a little bit cooler, but yes, we're also noticing that warm up as well. 60s today, turning into 70s by tomorrow. We'll see sunny skies into this weekend with beautiful conditions into next week.
A tragic end to a missing persons case in Vallejo. A woman's body found in a home that police had previously searched. 28-year-old Renea Lewis was reported missing on Sunday. Vallejo police first checked a home that very same day, and they found nothing. But when police searched the home a second time 2 days later, it was a hidden door that led to a gruesome discovery. Police say they've arrested a suspect and that he's admitted to the homicide. Amanda Harry went to the home where neighbors are laying flowers in her memory.
Here on 14th Street in Vallejo, we have a missing person sign for Lewis, just feet away from what now has become a growing memorial. There are flowers and candles that people have been dropping off all day.
I mean, it's the proper thing to do, especially if you're from Vallejo. Whether you knew the person or not, I mean, we're all human.
Colleen Isom Reyes says, as a lifelong Vallejo resident and a mother, this homicide feels personal. She didn't know 28-year-old Renea Lewis, but she can't help but think about what happened to her in this home.
The main question, like anybody else, is why? What was the purpose? You know, I wouldn't want to find my daughter like that.
Vallejo police received a missing persons report about Lewis on Sunday. That same day, their investigation led officers to this yellow home near 14th Street and Campbell Avenue. They conducted a welfare check and did what police called a cursory search, but found no signs of Lewis. On Tuesday, with the FBI now joining the case, detectives were back at the home with a search warrant. This time, they discovered a concealed entry into an attic. That's where they made the grisly discovery.
I don't want to get into the owner of the home, but it's a shed in the back of the house that was designed for a resident.
Rashad Hollis with Vallejo Police says Lewis's body was found in an attic within a living area in the back of the home. Additional information led police to a suspect, 41-year-old Douglas Irwin Shaw. He was arrested shortly after at his workplace.
He was Mirandized and admitted to this heinous crime.
Brooke Hayes says she didn't know Lewis, but had mutual friends. She says the whole community is impacted by this loss.
It's really sad, and it's really scary for a lot of these young ladies out here on the streets of Vallejo. Vallejo is a small community, so it really shook the whole community up, and everybody was doing their best to try to find her. And it's just so sad that she was just around the corner.
Isom Reyes feels for her family and says what they'll have to go through over the coming days and weeks is unimaginable.
And then her birthday was coming up really soon, so that in itself is hard to deal with. So we're just all showing our love and support to the family.
Lewis's death marks Vallejo's 14th homicide of 2025.
Shaw right now is being held at the Solano County Jail without bail. We are learning more about the person who was shot and killed outside San Francisco's main library last Friday. Happened in broad daylight. That person has been identified as Urban Alchemy employee Joey Alexander. Urban Alchemy contracts with San Francisco to act as street ambassadors. Alexander had worked for the nonprofit for 2 years, primarily outside the main library in the city's Tenderloin neighborhood.
You know, the public library is a very visible place. It's a community gathering place for many in the city, particularly vulnerable populations. And so just, you know, is well liked by his staff, well liked and you know, known by the community members there. And it's just a devastating loss, you know, for everybody involved here.
Mayor Daniel Lurie releasing a statement saying the city is mourning the loss. Police are offering a $50,000 reward to track down a killer in a cold case from more than a decade ago in San Francisco. It was March 9th, 2012. Gunfire erupting at 24th and Shotwell in the Mission. Investigators say a red SUV was seen heading away from the area after the shooting, and police say this man Ronald Monzon was killed as he was driving his car. Investigators told us back then that his car at some point hit another vehicle. Not clear if that provoked the shooting or if he was shot while driving and then hit the other car. A coalition of nearly 30 California cities, including some here in the Bay Area, are suing the Trump administration. They say executive orders have put $350 million of disaster preparedness funding at risk. Santa Clara County and San Francisco are leading the lawsuit. They're accusing the Trump administration of illegally trying to place political conditions on emergency and disaster funding, like immigration enforcement and cuts to diversity programs. Bay Area leaders say this hurts with disaster response and safety preps for major events like Super Bowl 60 and the World Cup.
Governments shouldn't have to pass a political litmus test to be able to care for their communities. Without this funding, our communities face an increased risk of unmitigated destruction.
Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security argues that it should be able to withhold funds from states. More than 500 homebound seniors are going to be losing out on what some consider the most important meal of the day. Meals on Wheels officially ended its breakfast program today. Money for that program has just run out. Our John Ramos takes us to Antioch, where he tagged along with the driver making his last drop-off to his clients.
Meals on Wheels has grown greatly since the pandemic, and while every social safety net program is financially challenged these days, it is their most vulnerable clients who are seeing their meal program come to an end. For 11 years, Vijay Bahel has been driving food to homebound Antioch seniors, and he absolutely loves doing it.
Helping the people who are in need of this. People who cannot walk, who cannot go out on their own, and they get the meals at home. That is the best part of this program.
Yeah. He has about 100 clients in the Antioch area that he delivers to each week. But the program is ending on Thursday, at least for breakfast.
And there's eggs in here.
Lindy Maines-Koltoff is a board member for Meals on Wheels Diablo region. They are the only group in the Bay Area to have a breakfast bag program, delivering 5 to 7 days worth of morning edibles each week.
There are some of these seniors that are having chemotherapy, and so breakfast is really important to them. This was actually started during the pandemic, and so we got funding for this. And we've continued the funding up until now.
I feel very sorry for these people.
So on this day, a melancholy Vijay had to deliver his breakfasts with an apology.
Hello. Today is our last breakfast bag delivery.
Okay.
So sorry, we are going to miss you.
It hurts because he knows that his homebound client, Alfred Dadu, at age 90, is pretty much alone in the world.
That's a curse.
It's
That's
a curse?
a punishment from God. Give you a long life. Because long life, you cannot walk, you cannot do this, you need help from everybody.
But there was a time he had no trouble walking. In fact, he was a world-class gymnast, competing for his home country of Egypt. You were in the Olympics?
Yes, 2 times in the 50s.
Oh my God. Do you remember those days really well?
Very well. I have pictures and I have the magazines.
Later, Alfred became a professional bodybuilder, meeting a young up-and-comer named Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then went on to serve in Vietnam. He has an amazing life story, but since his wife died and he can't leave the house, there is no one left to tell it to. Others are more lucky. They meet for lunch at a Meals on Wheels cafe at the Concord Senior Center. Here, the socializing is as important as the food, but even that is scheduled to run out of money in April.
I'm not sure whether it would close. We're going to have to find the funding from somewhere, but what we're going to have to do is reduce the participation. We're going to have to turn people away.
Because you have too many people coming in.
Correct.
The need is growing while resources are dwindling. Federal government cuts are passed down to the state, and then to the county, and then to Meals on Wheels. But ultimately, it falls on guys like Alfred Dadu, who end up feeling like a long life is a curse rather than a blessing.
Because of its own budget problems, Contra Costa County removed the $750,000 that funded the breakfast bag program. Meals on Wheels hoping they can raise funds through public and corporate donations. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, we are meeting a Bay Area woman that is not letting cancer define her. Now, this former school teacher is making sure other women have a second chance at life.
Degrees below average in Santa Rosa, 9 degrees below average over in Concord, and that puts us in the 70s widespread, not only throughout the East Bay, but the Santa Clara Valley too. That's been the case for the past 3 days, and we're seeing a repeat of it again today as we head outside into the afternoon hours. You probably ditch the umbrella as we head into the evening hours tonight, for the most part off into the East Bay and along the peninsula, but we're keeping a close eye on one other system that will sweep its way throughout places like Napa and Sonoma into the overnight hours too. Here's where we're at. You take a look at Futurecast, just timing this out once again. You can see it on the floor, but you can also see it just a little bit more zoomed in here. All the way into the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour, we're going to catch a little bit of a break. Here we go all the way into the 5, 6, 7 o'clock hour tonight and into the overnight hours. That's when that system sweeps throughout the North Bay, like Clear Lake and Santa Rosa, Napa too, with light to moderate showers before that moves off into the Sacramento Valley, drying us up fast as we head into Friday. I'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. One other thing to mention too, these daytime highs, nice and cool for now, but it's going to look a lot different as we head into this weekend's forecast. 60s turning into 70s along the Bay. We're also seeing 70s turning into 80s for our friends in our inland spots like Concord and Walnut Creek, stretched all the way over into the North Bay too. We'll have more on this coming up in a bit with those sunny skies right around the corner.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. For 2 decades, one former Oakland school teacher has been cancer-free because she was high risk with cancer on both sides of her family. She started mammograms early, but she never imagined being told at 44 that she would also have it. Veronica Macias tells us how she is making sure to help other women access care through the Susan G. Komen Breast Foundation.
When you manage to beat cancer, you become a survivor in this world. And in Ellen Shaler's case, an advocate in pink.
Here is
She's been cancer-free for about 20 years, but it's still a big part of her story. Since being diagnosed in 2005, she's participated in almost every More Than Pink walk for the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. All these years later, she vividly remembers the first survivor ceremony after her walk. It's there where she found a community of brave women.
They were calling all the survivors up, and this woman said to me, "Are you coming up, up on the platform?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know if I'm a survivor yet. My radiation starts tomorrow. It's only been 3 months." And she said, "You're coming with me, honey." And she pulled me up on that stage. I was bawling. And
Ellen would go on to win her fight, cancer never defining her, but leaving scars. Not taking any chances, she decided to have a double mastectomy because of the risk of cancer running high in her family. And as her husband had vowed, for better or for worse, he made sure she never lost her optimism or her sense of humor.
I said, I'm not going to have my breasts for my birthday when I turn 46. I'll have had this surgery. And he said, "But you'll have them back for mine in February." So, going into my bedroom. But
at home these days, things are quiet in retirement. As she walks down the hall, you can see how tidy her house is kept. In her bedroom is a notebook she kept during those difficult months with cancer. It's right beside all the words of encouragement, which she has been neatly preserving in a keepsake box.
63005 ductal carcinoma in situ. I actually was going to show you this box. I keep all of my fundraising records in here.
It's money the organization says is making a difference when funding from the government seems to be on the chopping block.
Funds to provide services directly to patients who need the care right now. But we also are funding cutting edge research. And we are second only to the US government in funding research. We have provided over $1.1 billion in funds to breast cancer research.
A key part of thriving is the research and doctors, but so is trusting your gut and always advocating for your own health. In her case, doctors initially missed the cancer in her mammogram, and had she not gotten a second opinion, she wouldn't be sharing her story.
I've lost a lot of friends and loved ones, not even always breast cancer, but some kind of cancer.
Telling her story does give her a bit of survivor's guilt.
Of course I'm thankful and I'm grateful, but well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to raise money for Komen because
contributing to Komen is her way of showing gratitude
and gets, at least have a fighting chance
for her second chance at life.
The Susan G. Komen Walk taking place this Sunday, October 5th at the San Francisco Zoo. Gates open at 9:30. The event brings together survivors, families, and supporters to raise money for breast cancer research, patient services, and advocacy. Registration is now open on their website. Coming up in our next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, what is supposed to happen when a car breaks traffic laws with no driver? How authorities are adapting to the new normal of autonomous vehicles.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Ann Makovic, and here's another look at our news headlines. At least 2 people have been killed, several others injured after a man went on a stabbing spree at a synagogue in the UK. The suspected attacker was shot by officers and later died. Authorities calling this a terror attack, and it comes on Yom Kippur. Police in the UK have made 2 arrests related to that attack. A man facing attempted murder charges after a homeless man was nearly beaten to death at a VTA light rail station in San Jose. The 42-year-old man was found unconscious at the GIS station just before midnight on Monday. He is still in critical condition. Sheriff's deputies arrested 23-year-old Brendan Frayshaw. They say he might be connected to another attack at the St. James VTA station last month. And a high school is shutting down in San Francisco. The district just announced that the academy is going to close at the end of the current academic year. That is due in part to declining enrollment. Fewer than 100 students go there. Next year, students from the academy will be automatically enrolled at Wallenberg High School. A spokesperson for the district says the move is not part of any larger wave of school closures. All right, let's get another check on our first alert forecast now. A little bit of rain coming down at the Walnut Creek BART station this morning. Here is meteorologist Jessica Birch with a look ahead.
Warmer weather and drier weather, too, for that matter, are right around the corner as we head into the next couple days. But we still have some lingering showers today. And as that cold front swept its way throughout the Bay Area, it brought with it some cooler weather, clearly, right? Let's head up to the North Bay. Today, we're 11 degrees below average, all the way into places like Santa Rosa, sitting at 70 degrees today. Yesterday, we were in the 60s, so we're already noticing this warm up just a little bit. You make your way over into Concord, we're about 9 degrees below average this afternoon at 73 degrees, about 7 degrees below average down into the Santa Clara Valley, sitting at 72. So for the most part, all of us are just hand in hand with 70s in our inland spots, 60s along the coast. But as we take a quick look at what Futurecast is showing, there were some lingering showers this morning, sweeping throughout the South Bay and off into the East Bay. That's now pushed off into the Sacramento Valley. We could get another batch of showers later tonight, though, after a nice break with just some clouds into our afternoon hours. Watch what happens just by 7, 8, and 9 o'clock. Showers tapering off to the north. Places like Clear Lake, Santa Rosa, and Vacaville could see an additional 1/10 of an inch of rain at max. For the most part, it's closer to around 1/100 of an inch, though, as we keep a close eye on those models. And that's the case stretched down into the Santa Clara Valley, too. Monitoring those numbers very closely, as this is going to be the last day of rain before we start to warm up and dry up as we head into this weekend's forecast. 70s today, quickly jumping into 80s as early as Saturday. We'll continue to warm up as we head into next week into the low 80s by Monday and Tuesday, with at least sunnier skies and some warmer weather right around the corner. It definitely feels a lot more fall-like, though, now that we're getting these cold fronts pushing in from the north. We're also gearing up for low 70s in the forecast along the bay, sunny skies by Saturday and Sunday, some passing clouds as we kick off next week.
And when it comes to driverless cars breaking a traffic law, who gets the ticket? Police in San Bruno had to deal with that when they say a Waymo made an illegal U-turn. We are seeing more driverless cars on the roads these days, and reporter Chris Van Cleve found out there is still room for improvement.
Waymo just drove around the school bus.
Cell phone video catches an autonomous Waymo passing a school bus stopped with its red lights flashing in the Atlanta area Monday, a move that could land a human driver there a $1,000 ticket. It's the latest in a series of Waymo incidents that have gone viral. Over the weekend, San Bruno, California police pulled over one after it made an illegal U-turn.
Right now, California police would typically cite a driver, not a vehicle. And they don't necessarily have a mechanism to cite a car that has no driver. But the state is changing the law. Next year, these driverless cars will be able to get tickets just like people.
Waymo, owned by Google's parent Alphabet, offers driverless rides in 5 cities with plans to expand.
So we're getting on the freeway.
Last year, we got an exclusive look as Waymo was testing on Arizona freeways.
It's really about never making a mistake, driving defensively, and predicting things that can go wrong.
Is that the bar, never making a mistake?
So the bar is to make as few mistakes as possible.
The company argues its own safety data shows 91% fewer serious injury crashes and 92% fewer crashes injuring a pedestrian compared to a human driver, but acknowledges the vehicles are still learning, saying we continuously refine our system's performance to navigate complex scenarios.
Are the self-driving cars being held to a higher standard?
I think they need to be held to a higher standard.
Former NTSB Chair Robert Sumwalt.
Before we have widespread use of self-driving vehicles, we've got to make sure that they are implemented properly.
Waymo says it's looking into the Atlanta incident, and if its vehicle is ticketed, they will address it as any driver would.
Police in San Bruno say after they pulled over the Waymo, they contacted the company and confirmed it was a glitch. No ticket was issued since there was no driver. Today, Spirit Airlines is cutting service to nearly a dozen U.S. cities, including 2 Bay Area airports. That means no more Spirit flights in San Jose or Oakland. That comes as the budget carrier goes through bankruptcy for the second time in a year. On top of the service reductions, Spirit is furloughing a third of its flight attendants and cutting pay for pilots. Spirit has struggled post-pandemic after a failed merger with JetBlue. Federal officials investigating a plane collision at one of New York City's major airports. 2 Delta jets clipped each other on the taxiway last night. Delta says the wing of one plane hit the fuselage of the other. Port officials say a flight attendant ended up with minor injuries. And a CBS News producer who was on board Flight 5047 captured this cell phone video of the damage to the wing of the other plane. He said it was pretty violent feeling and that it sounded like a sardine can opening. The FAA says one plane was heading to its gate when it hit the other plane. The agency says air traffic control instructed one of the planes to hold and yield to the other plane, but didn't happen. The NTSB is looking into exactly what went wrong. Today, we are remembering one of the most important animal researchers of modern times, Jane Goodall, whose research on wild chimpanzees captured our imaginations, died yesterday at the age of 91. Her discovery about chimpanzees redefined the world's understanding of the relationship between humans and animals. She made an impact right here in the Bay Area as well. It was 2022 when pioneering conservationist and animal rights activist Jane Goodall visited the Oakland Zoo.
Inspiration rubs off. So how wonderful to be here in a zoo that is doing so much to protect and restore the natural world.
Zoo CEO Nick Dehia will never forget that day.
She went to meet our chimpanzees and she got down on her hands and knees and they looked at her and she looked at them, and it was sort of this connection that you're wondering, how did that happen?
Goodall started documenting the lives and habits of chimpanzees in Tanzania back in the 60s and made the groundbreaking observation that the primates used and made tools, showing people around the world that animals are sentient beings. I spoke with Kitty Block, the president of Humane World for Animals, who says Goodall's impact went way beyond chimpanzees.
I don't think there was any animal too great, too small, that didn't matter to her, that didn't need their story to be told. And that's what she would do.
Goodall partnered with her team, campaigning against the abuse of farm animals, the fur trade, and to protect sharks in the sea.
She had this incredible ability to have the science and the empathy enrolled into one of the most magnificent storytellers you have ever met.
She established the Jane Goodall Institute in 1977. Its youth program, Roots and Shoots, empowers young people in more than 60 countries, something she spoke about during her visit to Oakland.
So if we see all the rocks and the walls as the problems we face today, then hundreds and thousands of young people, Roots and Shoots, can break through and make this a better world.
A mission that every life she touched can help live on.
Now it's up to us, it's up to all of us, the next step in carrying forward what Dr. Jane has done for so many, and to ensure that people in wildlife and communities and the environment and nature, that we pay attention.
For the last 4 decades of her life, Goodall traveled the world speaking about climate change and how humans can help solve some of the problems they've created. Coming up next here on CBS News Bay Area, it is a different type of game day experience, but she never lost the faith. How a Niners superfan doesn't let a loss of vision stop her from enjoying the games. Plus,
the South Bay thrift shop that generated $200,000 in scholarships last year for women. That story coming up.
cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area with some lingering showers tapering off as they push off into the east throughout this afternoon. The best places we could see that mostly to the east and the South Bay. Now we're going to start warming up once those showers roll out. We're warming up into this weekend, back into the 80s, and we're holding on tight to 80s as we head into early next week too throughout our inland spots. You make your way over into the Bay though, a little bit cooler, but yes, we're also noticing that warm up as well. 60s today, turning into 70s by tomorrow. We'll see sunny skies into this weekend with beautiful conditions into next week.
A 49er-loving family is taking social media by storm, all through showing the world what they've been doing for decades, going to Niners games together. And when it comes to their love for the red and gold, there's much more than meets the eye. Kevin Coe introduces us to the Lopez family.
It's another nail-biter at Levi's for Joyce Lopez.
It's more than just the visual of the game. You're experiencing it here.
Faithful since she was a teenager, Joyce has always loved coming to 49er games, but her game day experience has had to change over time.
My mom is blind. She was diagnosed with an eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP.
Josh is Joyce's son and Alexandra's brother.
Growing up, me and Alex experienced my mom being low vision, so she had some usable vision, but over time, I'd say past 10, 15 years or so, she's lost all her vision and she only has light perception. She understands the schemes. She can visualize plays. She doesn't need the vision to make that connection.
Helping her along the way are her headphones for the play-by-play and her husband by her side. Their kids sit just a row in front. And if you're thinking, hey Alex, get off your phone, well, there is a reason she should say no.
My brother really pushed me to start posting more on Instagram, start posting on TikTok.
Alex started making videos about her and her family's 49er experiences, including Joyce's consistent disapproval of the team's kicking situation.
Tell me what you're thinking.
One viral post after another led to Alex, Joyce, and Josh experiencing their first 49ers invasion on the road together.
We wouldn't have gone. We're so used to being at our home stadium. Now we're kind of more and more open to go to more away games and to travel and do all that stuff. And I never would have thought that would be possible doing my content creation.
Well, there is someone who always knew Alex and her love for football stood out.
I remember when she was little, I'd take her to football camp, actual football camp with the boys, and she was better than they were. Believe it or not.
Best believe the Lopezes will be rooting for their Niners through thick and thin, all fueled by a true love for the game.
I hear the game, I smell the smells, we cheer loud, we get involved, and I think all of that has to do with being a fan.
So the Lopez family 1-0 on the road this year, so technically they're undefeated, just in case the 49ers need any luck on the road going forward, which they probably do. For more coverage of the 49ers, join Matt and Vern Glenn tomorrow night, 7:30 for their Red and Gold report. You can watch it on KPIX and streaming on the free CBS News app. Coming up here on CBS News Bay Area, a unique thrift shop providing women with critical support. How the owner is helping them pursue their educational dreams.
We make a difference for the world.
It's just an extra added sense of reassurance that they believe in me.
highs this afternoon are about 11 degrees below average into Santa Rosa, 9 degrees below average over into Concord, and that puts us in the 70s widespread, not only throughout the East Bay, but the Santa Clara Valley too. That's been the case for the past 3 days, and we're seeing a repeat of it again today as we head outside into the afternoon hours. You could probably ditch the umbrella as we head into the evening hours tonight, for the most part off into the East Bay and along the peninsula, but we're keeping a close eye on one other system that will sweep its way throughout places like Napa and Sonoma into the overnight hours too. Here's where we're at. You take a look at Futurecast, just timing this out once again. You can see it on the floor, but you can also see it just a little bit more zoomed in here. All the way into the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour, we're going to catch a little bit of a break. Here we go all the way into the 5, 6, 7 o'clock hour tonight and into the overnight hours. That's when that system sweeps throughout the North Bay, like Clear Lake and Santa Rosa, Napa too, with light to moderate showers before that moves off into the Sacramento Valley, drying us up fast as we head into Friday. I'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. One other thing to mention too, these daytime highs, nice and cool for now, but it's going to look a lot different as we head into this weekend's forecast. 60s turning into 70s along the Bay. We're also seeing 70s turning into 80s for our friends in our inland spots like Concord and Walnut Creek, stretched all the way over into the North Bay too. We'll have more on this coming up in a bit with those sunny skies right around the corner.
High tuition keeps more women than men from enrolling in college. A Gallup survey says that finances are a barrier for 2/3 of women compared to less than half of men. But a South Bay woman found a creative way to bridge the gap. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
When you shop at the nearly new thrift store in Sunnyvale, Lois Christopherson says you're doing something good.
We make a difference for the world. Every year we have a Christmas boutique.
For years, sales at the 67-year-old shop supported a retirement home for a women's nonprofit called Philanthropic Educational Organization, or PEO for short. But when the PEO home closed in 2006, Lois came up with the idea to use the shop's profits to help women go to college.
I realized with as much money as we were making and as much joy as people experienced working at the shop, that a scholarship program was ideal.
Ideal because since PEO was founded in Iowa in 1869, its mission has been to educate and celebrate women. So for almost 2 decades, the nearly new shop has been a source of pride for local PEO volunteers and a staff member who run the store. In the last year alone, the shop generated $200,000 in scholarships for 30 young women in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties.
Oh, here are the blue stickers.
Lois has volunteered with the scholarship program for 18 years. She can't put a price tag on its impact.
You are so delighted by the quality of women that you're dealing with.
Lois's own experiences inspire. With 2 graduate degrees in clinical social work and business, Lois screened and counseled patients in the late 1960s for Stanford's pioneering heart transplant team. As a mentor, she motivates the next generation.
You can do even more than you originally think. Keep working on it. Don't be discouraged.
Hi, Lois.
Lois encouraged Julie Town, who received multiple PEO scholarships as she earned her bachelor's degree at Sonoma State University, then her master's at San Jose State.
It's just an extra added sense of reassurance that they believe in me and, I feel loved.
What a difference the nearly new shop scholarships make.
Yes.
Today, Julie is an occupational therapist, grateful to PEO and Lois for fueling her dreams. Julie even became a 3rd-generation PEO member.
Lois is one of a kind. She is so vivacious, she is so friendly, and she is so determined. She's determined to help others.
Lois leaves her mark in empowering women, according to store manager Teresa London.
In a world where, women are told, just kind of sit back and kind of fade away, this whole purpose, and Lois is so inspiring to show women that they can have a purpose all through their life.
And I let you carry your shoes.
So for helping women pay for college through profits from the nearly new shop, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Lois Christopherson.
Now, Now, PEO is an international nonprofit based in Iowa, but operating in all 50 states. The application window for a variety of scholarships is open until January, and Nearly New does accept donations of new or almost new items. You can nominate a community hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award on our website, kpix.com/icon. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.